Some of Spain is returning to work this morning after days of lockdown procedures to curb the spread of the coronavirus. The number of new infections has fallen to a record low since the outbreak began. Now, non-essential employees are being allowed to return to work under certain conditions. It's in an attempt to bring the economy out of a state of hibernation. But it's a different story in the UK, which has now passed 10,000 deaths. A senior scientific advisor to the government is warning that it could become the worst affected country in Europe. Katie Darford begins our coverage.
As Christians around Europe celebrated Easter in isolation due to the coronavirus outbreak, the world's hardest-hit continent has marked a grim milestone, with more than 75,000 people dead. But whilst Italy and Spain seem to be on a downward trend, in the UK, as British Prime Minister Boris Johnson was discharged from hospital following treatment for the coronavirus, his health minister was announcing the opposite news for the country.
The fact that over 10,000 people have now lost their lives to this invisible killer demonstrates just how serious coronavirus is and why the national effort that everyone is engaged in is so important.
Meanwhile, Boris Johnson delivered a heartfelt message of thanks to his hospital carers.
I want to thank the many nurses, men and women, whose care has been so astonishing. And the reason, in the end, my body did start to get enough oxygen was because for every second of the night, they were watching and they were thinking and they were caring and making the interventions I needed. So, thank you from me, from all of us, to the NHS.
Italy, on the other hand, announced its lowest number of new deaths for more than 3 weeks. And for the 9th day running, intensive care admissions and hospitalisations were down, relieving pressure on Italy's overstressed healthcare system. In France, President Emmanuel Macron's expected to extend strict confinement measures in an address to the nation this evening. France has reported a slight drop in the number of hospital deaths and patients in intensive care. Its health ministry said the country had reached a very high plateau, demonstrating that nearly 4 weeks of confinement was producing an effect. And as Spain saw its lowest daily growth in coronavirus